At the moment, it's said that the symptoms of President Macron are quite light, just a bit of a fever. But it was a bit of a surprise because we know that President Macron very early on made a point in looking very cautious and showing that he was taking the situation very seriously, unlike some other leaders that we saw infected with the virus, President Trump or Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He's been wearing masks in public from very early on, putting gel when he was standing at a podium on his hands, etc., etc. So it was a bit of a surprise. At the same time, we've seen some recent videos of him at the EU summit last week or earlier in the week. You mentioned the meeting with Angel Gurria or Pedro Sanchez, Antonio Costa, being himself again, which is, very tactile, shaking hands, touching shoulders and elbows. And while normally he's been respecting the social distancing rule quite tightly, lately it looks like there's maybe a little bit of a fatigue that we all feel in a way, and maybe less caution. So it was a bit of a surprise when this communique from the Elysee came through. We saw pictures of the president yesterday evening. He spoke remotely at a conference for humanitarian aid. He appeared wearing an FFP2 mask, a little bit more tired maybe than usual, but he was speaking there, participating in this conference, trying to send a positive message. So as you said, since this test came back positive, a whole lot of been this track and trace exercise, but with the agenda of a president, which is a much trickier exercise here because he's met a lot of people in the past few days. So as you mentioned, several European leaders now self-isolating. His wife is self-isolating at the Elysee, what President Macron himself is at a hunting lodge in Versailles with, they said, the minimum amount of people with him at the moment. And given his situation, he's young, he's 42. Actually, he will turn 43 next week, and he will have to spend his birthday in isolation. And also his physical condition, you can hope that he will have only a mild case of COVID, of course. Yesterday, the health minister, Olivier Véran, was speaking on television and said that it was likely that the president had been maybe contaminated at the EU summit last week. So it'd be interesting to see what this means for him, for President Macron politically. Hopefully, maybe a little bit of a wave of sympathy. We saw that with other leaders after they tested positive. But there's also a bit of a controversy because there was a couple of meals that the president attended at the Elysee. One, a lunch with the different political party leaders in France. There was 10 people around the table. And then a dinner with key members of his political party. That was an evening meal with, again, 10 people around the table. It finished at midnight. So while the Elysee maintains that the social distancing was there, put in place, it was a big reception table in a big reception room. There's still a bit of a controversy because the country, remember, is having still a high number of COVID cases. You had 18,000 new COVID cases yesterday. There's a curfew in place, so people cannot go for dinners in the evening, and the dinner with President Macron finished at midnight. So there's a bit of a controversy here. Again, the Elysee insisting social distancing was in place in those meals, and of course the president needs to carry on with his function. If there's one essential worker, you could say that the president is one of them. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out for him. Hopefully, his case of COVID will be a mild one. Again, an example like Jérôme Solomon, the chief medical officer, put it yesterday. If anything, what is happening with the president should be a warning message to all French people. Take a listen.
He's an example to the French people. He's self-isolated with the least of symptoms, which is exactly what we tell French people to do. He's been tested at the earliest doubt over whether he had the virus, which is also what we want. Contact tracing in place. He's a fervent supporter of the app Everyone Against COVID. Having had the chance and honour of being in meetings with him, he is extremely careful with all the measures. There are hand sanitizers everywhere. The distance is observed. So that's what we need to remind French people. The measures need to be respected, whoever you are. Even if you're the president of the Republic at work, these are situations that demand constant vigilance.
So here the French chief medical officer saying that even the bubbles of power are not immune to the system, so trying to send a message of caution to the French people as we saw some of the restrictions just being lifted this week, and people will be able to get together during the Christmas period, so a bit of nervousness of what this will mean for the pandemic in the weeks ahead.